little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another product review for you. Now, this one was requested not that long ago when I did a review for the Red Heart Fair Isle yarn. And people are like, well, what about the pooling yarn? Well, honestly, I wasn't able to find it until quite recently. I did find this particular colorway. In fact, it's the only one they had at Walmart, at least, my store. And at the time that I looked, this is the colorway of Papaya. Very vibrant, very, very festive. I like it. Very, very, very bright. And I was thinking, okay, I'll give it a whirl. Now, I did do a tutorial on how to do the color pooling technique about 2 years ago, roughly speaking. And, I found it was a very interesting, technique. Not my favorite technique because it's more about the color than the stitching. Like sometimes you need to use a different sized hook, or you need to adjust your tension on the yarn. So it can be a little bit fiddly. However, I figured, what, totally worth trying. So got myself a bunch of these, and yes, I made up a swatch to show you. Yes, I did. And here it is. And as you can see, it is lovely. Yes, absolutely lovely. It does create a neat little argyle pattern. You've got the pinks coming up and the blues and so on and so forth. And you've got the oranges going that way. And now I was able to do the same thing with other yarns. However, I did notice a bit of a difference. Not a huge difference, but I did notice a difference with this particular yarn, and I'm going to go into that. So basically, it is really the same deal, as, if you've ever done color pooling before, it's the same stitch. It's still the moss stitch or granite stitch, I believe they're pretty much synonymous. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically it is a single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, and you are single crocheting into the chain one spaces on the following row. Like I said, there will be a link to my original tutorial on this technique in the description box down below if you want to check it out, so that you too can do this sort of piece. Again, sometimes it takes a little bit of finagling and finesse in order to get the stitches to align properly. Now, what I noticed about this particular yarn, this colorway, is the length of the color changes. Now, what I did was I actually measured the length of the colors, okay? So from roughly about this point to roughly about this point, where the color changes is approximately 10, 11 inches thereabouts. And that enables you to get, roughly speaking, about 3 single crochets and a chain stitch in between each. Okay, so you can see I've got my 3 here, and I've got my 3 here, and I've got my 3 blues, and my 3 greens. So approximately, roughly speaking, 3 stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and the chain stitches in between. And so it's more of an even spaced variegated yarn. Now, you can do the same technique with other variegated yarns. And yes, I made up some swatches from another brand as well. And so I did a little swatching with this variegated yarn. Now, as you can see, this does also create the argyle look, the diamonds and so forth. I didn't go very far with it, I know, but I wanted to get the point across. Now, here's the difference. With this particular yarn, this is actually by Loops and Threads. This is Impeccable. You can find this at Michael's. Now, the difference with this one is that with this particular colorway, you have this little bit right here. this little light bit, and this is rather short, hence why you're only able to get like a stitch and a bit, not even like 2 full stitches worth of the light. So it's going to create a very skinny line, and then you have the other colors, which are far longer, so it's like from here all the way, I mean, this is considerably longer, and it creates a much longer, wider band of color. You've got, these 3 here, and, from here to here, I mean, even though those 2 are lighter and these 2 are darker, I mean, it's a wide band of color. That being said, it creates a different look, but it's still possible to do it with other yarns. Now, another one that I tried, same brand, also Loops and Threads, impeccable, by the way, for those of you who want to know. This one is called Tropical Storm, and this one, sort of like a somber rainbow. This one is called Folklore. Love the name, absolutely. Now this one, same sort of difference. Let me just straighten that up a little. So with this one, it's the green that has a very, very short length. Now let me show you what I mean. See right here, it's blue right here, and then we've got a little green, and it goes immediately to blue. And that is why it is a very sharp line with the green, okay? So it is quite conceivable to do the exact same technique with other yarns. And there are a whole lot of other Red Heart Super Saver variegated yarns that you can use. It is preferable that the colorway is, I want to say, 6 inches, 8 inches or so per color, roughly speaking, so that you can get a couple of stitches in, because you need to do a single crochet and a chain stitch. Otherwise, if you don't have enough, it's going to create a very narrow strip, and if it's more narrow than, say 2 stitches, it's not going to be very effective, and you really need to line up your stitches very accurately. Otherwise, it's going to look like a hot mess. But it is possible. It is most certainly possible, as you can see. Now, do I think that it's fair that Red Heart decided, oh, we're going to name this pooling yarn? I think it's fair because it does work. However, I think it's not necessary, because they already had yarns, 2+ years ago that did the exact same thing. I think it was just basically a way for them to say, hey, look what we can do. And yes, it works, don't get me wrong, but it's sort of like, at this point, kind of like beating a dead horse with a stick. Pardon the expression. But I really didn't think it was necessary because it does work. But I think they were just trying to sort of bring to the attention of the general public, hey, look what I can do. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a little bit late in the game, I think. But I do give them credit for, again, trying to think outside of the box and be like, you know what, hey, we can do this and we can do it a little bit better, as opposed to these short, choppy colorways. Make it more consistent. So, I'll give them a thumbs up for that, sure. I did see at Joann's that they had a much wider selection of different colorways, which I was pleased with, but I was content with what I had. I really don't feel like me personally going into a lot more experimentation with this process. I'm content. So would I recommend it? Yes. But keep in mind, it is a bit of a fiddly process. It's not exact. And, if you want to try it yourself, check out my link in the description box down below. And I hope that you found this informative, helpful, and, to your liking. If so, please give me a little thumbs up button down below. I appreciate that. Also, please subscribe, because I do try to post as often as I can, whether it's knitting, crocheting, audiobook narration, or my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games. A lot of fun. Please check it out, and I will see you soon. So stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.